The 2024 Annual Shareholders Meeting of Robinsons Retail Holdings Incorporated will now start. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Present with us this morning are all members of our Board of Directors. Mr. Lance Gokongwei, Chairman, who will preside over the meeting. Mr. James Go, Vice Chairman. Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, President and CEO. Mr. Scott Price, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, Mr. Rodolfo Ang, Attorney Cirilo Noel, Mr. Enrico Cruz, and Mr. Cesar Romero. Also present are Robinsons Retail's COO Stanley Ko, Chief Financial and Risk Officer Mylene Casiban, Corporate Secretary Attorney Rosalinda Rivera, General Counsel Attorney Gilbert Miliado Jr., Vice Presidents Gina Dipaling and Gabriel Tagala III, and Treasurer Graciela Banatao. We are also joined by representatives of our external auditors, Sisip Gores Velayo and Company. We will now play the Philippine National Anthem.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this meeting. May I request the Corporate Secretary to please certify on the sending of notices to the shareholders and to the existence of a quorum for this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I hereby certify that notice of this meeting had been sent to the shareholders of record as of April 5, 2024 through the following methods. By publication in the Manila Standard and Business World for 2 consecutive days, in both online and print formats, by sending through electronic mail in accordance with the bylaws of the corporation, by posting on the website of the corporation, and by disclosure to the Philippine Stock Exchange. Thus, the shareholders have been duly notified of this meeting in compliance with applicable rules and regulations. I hereby certify that there are present in this meeting via remote communication or by proxy shareholders entitled to vote representing 82.75% of the corporation's total outstanding shares, and that this meeting is therefore competent to transact the business provided for in the agenda. A quorum is present, Mr. Chairman.
There being a quorum, the annual meeting of the shareholders of Robinsons Retail Holdings, Inc. is hereby called to order. May I request the Corporate Secretary to share with us the rules and procedures for this meeting.
The following are the rules of conduct and procedures for the meeting. Shareholders may attend the meeting remotely through the link provided. Shareholders were requested to send an email should they intend to participate in the meeting by remote communication and be included in the determination of quorum, together with shareholders who voted in absentia and by proxy. For items on the agenda for approval, The affirmative vote of shareholders representing at least a majority of the issued and outstanding capital stock is required. The voting results reported during this meeting will be subject to validation by CISIP Gores Velayo and Company, and the final voting results will be reflected in the minutes of the 2024 annual meeting of the shareholders. The meeting will be recorded in audio and video format in accordance with SEC guidelines. Please refer to the definitive information statement for additional details on the rules and procedures for this meeting. For the information of the shareholders who are with us now during this live broadcast, the corporation has requested shareholders to send their comments or questions by email. Questions which were received by April 30, 2024 have been collated, and selected questions will be answered later on. The corporation will reply to the questions and comments not taken up during this meeting through email.
Let us now proceed to the next item in the agenda, the approval of the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting of shareholders. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for this agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, copies of the minutes have been distributed to the shareholders by providing the link to the said minutes in the definitive information statement, by making a copy of the minutes available in RRHI's website, and by showing the QR code on the screen prior to the meeting. The minutes have been approved as submitted by votes representing 82.75% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation.
Thank you. The minutes are hereby approved as presented. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, may I now call on Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, President and Chief Executive of the Corporation, to present her report together with the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2023. Ms. President?
Good morning to all of our shareholders, board of directors, partners, customers, and friends from the media. Today, I am pleased to discuss our 2023 financial performance, corporate developments, and sustainability initiatives. Allow me to begin with Robinsons Retail's financial performance. RRHI currently stands as one of the largest multi-format retailers in the Philippines, operating across 5 business segments encompassing 10 formats and 22 banners. Consolidated net sales rose by 7.4% in 2023 to 192.1 billion, supported by same-store sales growth of 3.9% and store expansion initiatives. Gross profit surged by 7.8%, surpassing revenue growth driven by assortment shifts and sustained penetration of private label brands. Our improved gross profit contributed to a 1.5% increase in core net earnings to 5.6 billion. Our core net earnings exclude one-time and non-core items. However, net income attributable to equity holders of the parent company declined to 4.1 billion, primarily due to forex losses and equitized losses from startup investments. The primary drivers of revenue growth in 2023 were our core staple businesses, namely food and drugstores, accounting for around 77% of net sales and close to 80% of EBITDA. In 2023, we expanded our footprint by opening 84 new stores, bringing our total store network to 2,393 company-owned stores, in addition to 2,127 franchise stores under TGP. Our store portfolio includes 757 food segment stores, 1,054 drugstores plus 2,120 franchise stores of TGP, 50 department stores, 230 DIY stores, and 302 specialty stores. Now, allow me to update you on our first quarter results for 2024. Net sales rose by 2.9% to 45.9 billion, driven by incremental revenues from new stores and sustained demand in the food and drugstore segments. SSSG normalized to 0.9% due to an unusually high base in the last 2 years and the impact of temporary store closures during the Holy Week. Gross profit increased by 3.6%, exceeding revenue growth, which we attribute to expanding private labels and imported product sales. Core earnings increased by 8.5% to 1.9 billion. Net income for equity holders surged to 5.1 billion, largely due to a one-time gain from the BPI Robinsons Bank merger. Now let me discuss some of our key corporate developments. On January 1, 2024, the merger between BPI and Robinsons Bank, with the former as surviving entity, officially took place. We now effectively own 6.5% of BPI and entitled to a board seat in the bank. With the merger, BPI should be able to provide our various suppliers with wider working capital funding options to service our needs. In addition, we can cross-sell our retail products and services to a much wider bank customer base. We celebrated our 10th anniversary as a publicly listed company last November 13, 2023. To mark the occasion, we had a bell-ringing ceremony at the Philippine Stock Exchange on November 23 with the directors and officers of the PSE and RRHI. In collaboration with the DFI Group, we formally launched the official entry of the Meadows brand in the Philippines at Shopwise in Parañaque City last December. Meadows is DFI's multi-awarded private label brand of high-quality food and drinks, home and kitchen essentials, and health and beauty products sourced from all over the world and sold at great value for money. Robinsons Retail has once again been recognized by the Institute of Corporate Directors with the Golden Arrow Award for continued efforts in improving our corporate governance standards and practices. RRHI was acknowledged as one of the top employers in the Philippines. This recognition stems from a survey conducted by the Philippine Daily Inquirer and Statista, which gathered insights from approximately 16,000 employees. In November 2023, we extended our share buyback program by an additional 1 billion pesos, bringing the total allotment to 7 billion pesos. As of end of April, we have already repurchased approximately 6.5 million pesos worth of shares. We are pleased to announce the declaration of cash dividends at 2 pesos per share with a 71% payout ratio. The record date for this dividend is May 27 and the payment date is June 10. Enhancing shareholder value remains a top priority for us, demonstrated by initiatives such as our share buyback program and our ongoing commitment to consistent dividend declarations. Moving on to our sustainability updates. One of our main goals is to embed sustainability in the way we do business. We have recalibrated our ESG strategy and have come up with 3 key areas: responsible retailing, relationship with our people and communities, and robust environmental action, our 3 R's of sustainability. In 2023, we worked with over 2,000 MSMEs and over 2,200 smallhold farmers, reduced over 30% of our direct greenhouse gas emissions intensity since 2021 by transitioning away from high-carbon refrigerants, and system and facility upgrades. Collected over 20,000 kilos of plastics as part of our plastic neutrality campaign, and donated around 23,000 kilos of food, which have been converted to over 95,000 meals for indigent communities. To ensure accurate and reliable reporting, we have undertaken external assurance for our sustainability report. We completed our first ever ESG external assurance in 2023, covering 2022 data, reflecting our dedication to corporate responsibility and transparent business practices. Our external assurers SGV and Company thoroughly reviewed data, policies, and procedures to ensure alignment with global ESG standards. The second external assurance of 2023 data is undergoing finalization. This ends my presentation. Thank you and happy shopping.
Thank you. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for the approval of the audited financial statements for the preceding fiscal year.
Mr. Chairman, we are pleased to report that shareholders representing 82.73% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation have approved the audited financial statements of the corporation for the year ended December 31, 2023 as presented. The report of the President is hereby also duly noted.
The report of the President is accordingly noted, and the audited financial statements for the preceding fiscal year are hereby approved as presented. We now go to the election of the members of the Board of Directors. May I request the Corporate Secretary to read the names of the incumbent members of the Board of Directors.
The incumbent members of the Board of Directors are Mr. James L. Go, Mr. Lance Y. Gokongwei, Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, Mr. Scott Price, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, and the independent directors are Mr. Rodolfo P. Ang, Mr. Cirilo P. Noel, Mr. Enrico S. Cruz, and Mr. Cesar G. Romero.
Thank you. May we now have the list of nominees for election to the Board of Directors and the voting results.
Mr. Chairman, in accordance with the nomination process stated in the bylaws of the corporation, the following have been nominated as members of the Board of Directors: Mr. James L. Go, Mr. Lance Y. Gokongwei, Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, Mr. Scott Price, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, and as independent directors, Mr. Rodolfo P. Ang, Mr. Cirilo P. Noel, Mr. Enrico S. Cruz, and Mr. Cesar G. Romero. There being no other nominations, the affirmative votes in favor of those nominated have been tabulated, and the following are the duly elected members of the Board of Directors of the Corporation for 2024. Mr. James L. Go, Mr. Lance Y. Gokongwei, Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, Mr. Scott Price, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, and as independent directors, Mr. Rodolfo P. Ang, Mr. Cirilo P. Noel, Mr. Enrico S. Cruz, and Mr. Cesar G. Romero.
Let us move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the appointment of the external auditor of the corporation. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for this agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, the accounting firm of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company has been nominated as the external auditor of the corporation for fiscal year 2024. After tabulation of the votes, the appointment of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company as external auditor of the corporation has been approved by shareholders representing 82.75% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation.
Thank you. The accounting firm of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company is hereby appointed as external auditor of the corporation for fiscal year 2024. Let us proceed to the next item in the agenda, which is the ratification of the acts of the Board of Directors and its committees, officers, and management of the corporation. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for this agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, the list of acts for ratification of the shareholders are being displayed right now on the screen. This list has also been made available to the shareholders by having it uploaded in the corporation's website and by showing the link and QR code to the said list on the screen prior to the meeting. After tabulation of the votes, we are pleased to report that shareholders representing 82.73% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation have confirmed and ratified the acts of the Board of Directors and its committees, officers, and the management of the corporation for the period beginning from the last annual shareholders meeting up to the current shareholders meeting, as duly recorded in the corporate books and records of the corporation.
Thank you. The acts of the Board of Directors and its committees, officers, and management of the corporation for the period beginning from the last annual meeting of the shareholders up to the current meeting of the shareholders, as duly recorded in the books and records of the corporation, are hereby confirmed and ratified. We will now respond to questions which were earlier submitted by our shareholders via email. The questions will be answered by the President and Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe.
First question from Steven Oliveros, China Bank Securities. How should we look at the sales performance of the discretionary segments this year?
Revenues of our discretionary segment have temporarily slowed in the first quarter of 2024. However, we believe that this is transitory. We should see an acceleration in revenues for these segments for the balance of 2024 as we continue to open stores and refine our product mix.
Another question from Mr. Oliveros. Given that the bulk of your stores are concentrated in NCR, are there plans to expand outside the capital? If yes, what would be your key considerations and what store formats will you open?
With 30% of our stores located in Metro Manila, we want to accelerate our expansion outside the capital. In terms of formats, we are looking to open more of our core supermarket and drugstore banners.
Next question from Miguel Reyes of BDO Securities. Can you provide some insight, specifically in the supermarket segment, regarding competition with hard discounters such as Dali? What are the company's plans to maintain market share as well as keep margins healthy?
To maintain market share, we will continue to differentiate by offering a wide range of relevant products and providing an exceptional shopping experience, be it offline or online. Our margins should remain intact as we continuously enhance our product mix and gain more scale. We have entered the hard discount category through a stake in OSave, which is aggressively expanding. The hard discounters focus on small pack sizes and sachets versus our core supermarket formats that offer regular and large pack sizes, suggest that there is limited pricing pressure for some products.
Our last question is from Natasha Reyes of CLSA. What is the company's aspiration for the drugstore segment? Do you target to be the second largest player? Is the company looking to make another large acquisition like that of Rose Pharmacy?
Our aspiration for the drugstore segment is to simply become more accessible to our customers. By doing so, we aim to boost our market share and brand value. We believe there is opportunity to increase market coverage for all our banners, as there are a lot of municipalities and barangays in the Philippines that still lack drugstores. In terms of major acquisitions, we are always on the lookout for value-accretive M&As. Should there be an opportunity, we will be ready to capitalize.
Thank you. Are there any other matters to be taken up for consideration of the shareholders?
There is none, Mr. Chairman.
This ends the 2024 Annual Shareholders Meeting of Robinsons Retail Holdings. A link where a replay of this meeting may be viewed shall be made available at the website of the corporation. Thank you very much for joining us.